Our protagonist is hanging with his hands tied from a high place. And how did he get into this situation? I don't know yet. We'll see soon. Below him, a group of people watch him, while some zombies are kept trapped in a chain trap. A woman calls our protagonist Jiang Xiaoyong. Our protagonist remembers past events. Two young people, a man and a woman, are injured and covered in blood. The woman asks Jiang Xiaoyong if life doesn't seem meaningless now that all her friends are dead. Jiang Xiaoyong blames himself, saying that everything is his fault and that he caused that to his friends. Then he screams, calling that woman evil, and says she deserves a miserable death. She hugs a man who was next to her and comments, "Look, he's mad at me again!" The guy in the white coat smiles and suggests that they torture the man slowly to vent his anger. He says they need to be thankful for the supplies, as they will now be able to live comfortably for a few more months. Then he presses a button. A rope that held our prota is released. The poor protagonist, still with his hands tied, falls hard to the ground inside the zombie cage. Zombies approach the man, hungry. They roar, advancing voraciously. One of the zombies bites the prota's neck, who screams in pain. Meanwhile, more and more zombies tear at his skin as his body evaporates. "Goodbye, man. I didn't even know you properly, but I'm gonna miss you." Our protagonist, in a guts-like scene, shouts the names Kui Jing and Li Shuxiong. He claims that if he had another chance to live, he would make them pay for what they did. Then out of nowhere, he wakes up. A woman calls out to Jiang Xiaoyong, questioning what he means. She asks him why he hasn't added her name to the house deed yet and if he really loves her. The poor guy, confused, wonders what is happening. He wonders if he was reborn to the time before the apocalypse. Then he remembers his past life when he was tricked by Kui Jing. He says that not only did she steal the inheritance his parents left him, she also left him homeless. A global catastrophe strikes, turning most humans into zombies and plunging the world into chaos. People run, desperate, while zombies attack. With the help of friends he made while wandering, he built a safe zone and managed to survive the apocalypse. Who would have thought that the deceitful Kui Jing would pretend to be a desperate person seeking refuge and win her sympathy? Kui Jing opens the safe zone gate to a truck full of armed men. Our prota reveals that she was sent by the enemy to destroy them. He recalls the 400,000 yuan dowry he paid, without missing a penny. The slut asks the man if he heard her. Our protagonist watches her with a furious look, while in his mind he calls her a bitch. But he calms down and thinks that he cannot act impulsively now. Then he says he will give him a week. Then he pushes the bitch out of his house and tells her that he understands and that he can go. She is confused and asks him what is happening. She wonders when Jiang Xiaoyong became so assertive and recalls that he used to be her lackey. Jiang closes the door and watches her, thinking about her next steps. Then he watches a digital clock that reads 5 p.m. on May 7th, 2034. He thinks that with only a month left, he needs to immediately start preparing for the impending apocalypse. But out of nowhere, he is startled to see a message in his vision. The apocalypse system is now active. A new mission is released by the system, Preparation for the Apocalypse, with the following requirements: own a piece of land and prepare a year's worth of supplies. The reward for the mission is 10 points, which can be exchanged for rewards in the system store. The man wonders what mission reward points are and what they can be used for. The system shows the store with the following items: physical enhancement potion for 20 points, apocalypse farmer supply box, level 1 for 2 points, and protagonist supply box, level 1, for 10 points. There is also the option to upgrade the store for 2 points. Then he is surprised and remembers that he almost forgot that in his previous life he was saving and investing in real estate, and that he saved every penny to collect Kui Jing's dowry, which left him malnourished. He takes his cell phone from the table. Looking at his cell phone screen, he says that in a month, zombies will be everywhere. He decides that while there is still good food, he should eat well. Now, in an extremely luxurious building, a table with several dishes of food is laid out. He wonders if this is the legendary expensive takeout with 3 Michelin stars. He wonders what a 300 yuan roast pork tastes like. Then he takes the food to his mouth with his chopsticks. It's then that an explosion of flavors happens. He shouts, saying that the food is very delicious. After tasting all that richness, he begins to devour the entire banquet in front of him. However, his cell phone starts ringing, and guess who it is? That's right, the friend of the biggest bitch that ever walked the earth, Kui Jing. Then he wonders if the manipulative woman cried to her little friend. Wen Shuya asks Jiang Xiaoyong what he meant and how he could treat Kui Jing like that. She says that Kui Jing just wanted him to prove his love, and that if he can't even give her his property, how can he say he loves her? Wen Shuya continues, saying that Kui Jing was just testing him and that he failed. She demands that Jiang Xiaoyong take the house deed and 1 million yuan in cash to apologize. Otherwise, she advises you to prepare for the breakup. An angry Jiang Xiaoyong shouts into the phone asking who Wen Shuya thinks he is and says she can't test him. He orders her to disappear. Wen Shuya tries to talk to Jiang Xiaoyong again, but he hangs up on her. Jiang Xiaoyong takes a deep breath, lying down on the sofa. Then he remembers the first requirement of the mission, owning a piece of land. Our prota says he will build the strongest fortress on that land, not only defensible, but also close to a water source and forest. Then a few hours pass. At a real estate agency, a broker asks Jiang Xiaoyong if he is there to rent or buy a house. Jiang Xiaoyong responds that he is not there for either option. Xiao Ning, the real estate employee, is instructed by manager Zhu to help move the boxes in the warehouse as they received a lot of toilet paper that day. But she retorts saying that she needs to attend to the customer. Manager Zhu scolds Xiao Ning for forgetting everything he taught her and sends her to work in the warehouse. Then, manager Zhu says that Jiang Xiaoyong is a broke loser with cheap clothes who probably can't even afford a bathroom. Xiao Ning asks the manager what he said and accuses him of looking down on people. He is irritated by Xiao Ning's question. Manager Zhu tells Jiang Xiaoyong that he is a person who looks down on people like him. The manager challenges Jiang Xiaoyong, saying that if he can buy a bathroom, he will go live eating shit. Jiang Xiaoyong watches manager Zhu silently. Then our prota claims that he will find some hot new properties for Xiao Ning later. Jiang Xiaoyong tells the broker that he is not there to rent or sell a house that day. Meanwhile, he smiles, showing his black credit card. Jiang Xiaoyong declares that he is there to buy land. The real estate employees are shocked by Jiang Xiaoyong's statement. One of them asks if he knows how much money it costs. Another is surprised, as it is the first time he has seen someone buying land. A third employee thinks that Jiang Xiaoyong is a real rich person, a real big spender. Xiao Ning, with a smile on her face, is ready to meet Jiang Xiaoyong and offers to give her a detailed introduction. Manager Zhu, suspicious, says that anyone can brag, but when it comes time to pay, he doesn't believe Jiang Xiaoyong will be able to get the money. Xiao Ning shows our prota the currently available plots of land and asks him to analyze them while she explains. Jiang Xiaoyong dismisses Xiao Ning's explanations and says that he will inform her of his requirements so that she can see if there is anything that matches. Xiao Ning, surprised by Jiang Xiaoyong's attitude, asks him to continue. Jiang Xiaoyong describes the land he is looking for, close to mountains and water, preferably with running water, convenient transportation, and ideally with factories or large buildings. Xiao Ning thinks, trying to remember any terrain with these characteristics. The manager asks if there is land in the East District that fits Jiang Xiaoyong's requirements. Xiao Ning asks manager Zhu if he is talking about the T-City land and states that it is no use, as the factories there are all unfinished, unresolved projects that cannot be sold to customers. Then the bastard manager Zhu responds by saying that Jiang Xiaoyong is a bankrupt with absurd demands and that he is not there to buy land, but to cause problems. Jiang Xiaoyong questions whether the land in the East District really meets all his requirements. Xiao Ning confirms this, but warns that the factories on the land are unfinished and that the construction team leader has fled. Jiang Xiaoyong thinks that the location is great and meets all his needs. He figures that putting up barbed wire will make the place easy to defend and that the unfinished factories will save a lot of money and time. He decides to buy the land and asks if they can sign the contract and make payment at that time. Xiao Ning, taken by surprise, apologizes. Xiao Ning asks if Jiang Xiaoyong really wants to buy the land with the unfinished factories. He confirms that he wants to buy the land and asks them to sign the contract and make the payment quickly, as someone is waiting to eat fresh shit later. Manager Zhu, in shock, holds up a receipt and exclaims that this is impossible. He looks at the receipt in disbelief and questions how anyone can spend millions on land with unfinished factories. Jiang Xiaoyong smiles, pats manager Zhu on the shoulder and says he made the payment. He challenges the manager to fulfill his end of the bargain and, if he likes it, promises to send a super chat later. An employee films manager Zhu with his cell phone, saying that he has already started the live broadcast and that he should hurry up. The other says his stomach isn't feeling well that day but promises it will be fresh. Our prota walking outside offers lobster to manager Zhu, saying he ate it the day before and he should try it. The system shows that the mission Preparing for the Apocalypse has been updated and the requirement of owning a piece of land has been completed. Jiang Xiaoyong says that he spent all the dowry money on buying the land and now needs to find a way to get money to stock up on supplies. A man watches our boy and wonders what Jiang Xiaoyong is doing there. Then, hearing a scream, he turns back. Manager Zhu begs for help, saying he doesn't want to eat poop. Other men hold him calm down, the guy in white social media comes close and asks what they are doing. Well, mission more than complete. Qijing smokes a cigarette. She calls Li Shuxiong and says he still remembers her. Qijing asks Li Shuxiong if he knew that Zhang Xiaoyong went to the real estate office that day to buy land. Qijing wonders in shock how Zhang Xiaoyong bought land and where he got the money from. She deduces that the 300,000 yuan payment must be the dowry money he saved. Qijing angrily wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong dares to use her money. Li Shuxiong advises her to calm down and go find Zhang Xiaoyong to ask what is going on. She says that Zhang Xiaoyong turned the tables on her and that he actually used her money. She declares that she will expose it online that day. Now we return to Zhang Xiaoyong's house. Sitting, he thinks that buying supplies and building a base requires a lot of money and wonders where he will get it. But that's when the girl appears, almost breaking down our prota's door. Qijing questions Zhang Xiaoyong about what he is doing and accuses him of wasting her money. Zhang Xiaoyong, confused, asks what she is talking about. Qijing, even more furious, asks Zhang Xiaoyong if he is crazy. Our prota doesn't react and says she's insane. Zhang Xiaoyong says he has a lot of money, showing a wad of bills to Qijing. He then states that he won't spend a dime on her. He warns Qijing that she shouldn't think that he doesn't know about her affair with Li Shuxiong. Qijing, in shock, wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong found out about her and Li Shuxiong. Wen Shuya tries to calm Qijing down and says it's just a misunderstanding between a couple. Our prota says that there is no misunderstanding and that Qijing is not his girlfriend, but old man Li Shuxiong's lover. He orders them both to disappear because just looking at them makes him feel irritated. Qijing, in shock, wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong knows about this, as they have always been very discreet when booking rooms. Wen Shuya scolds Qijing for not saying anything about the affair with Li Shuxiong. She wonders how Zhang Xiaoyong found out since Qijing got involved with that middle-aged man. Qijing tries to justify himself, saying they only booked rooms a few times. Wen Shuya suggests they go back and think of a plan as the situation is out of control. Qijing agrees, saying that's all they can do. Zhang Xiaoyong visits the land he bought and observes a factory. He says that's the factory he wants to renovate and asks how long it will take to complete. Construction machines work at full speed on your land. Zhang Xiaoyong talks to a foreman about renovations at the factory. The foreman explains that walls will be reinforced, guard towers will be built, barbed wire will be installed, explosion-proof steel doors will be thickened, and bulletproof tempered glass will be added. The foreman named Li from Peru Construction Company asks Zhang Xiaoyong which force he offended. Zhang Xiaoyong stops him and asks him not to ask too many questions, as knowing too much won't do him any good. He asks the foreman to just tell him how much it will cost to complete the job in a month. Foreman Li tells Zhang Xiaoyong that it is not possible to complete the work in a month. Then our prota interrupts him again, telling him to stop talking and that if he doesn't do it, there will be many others who will. He reminds the foreman that the lives of Paru employees are also important. Then he ends by asking if he has a conscience as a foreman. Foreman Li is embarrassed and tries to explain himself, saying that what he means is that it will cost more. Zhang Xiaoyong asks Li to name the price. Foreman Li explains that to complete the work in 1 month, Paru will need to work intensely and that the cost will be at least 20 million. Zhang Xiaoyong confirms the value of 20 million and asks the foreman to start the work. He also asks him to give him a deposit of 5 million yuan so they can start working. Zhang Xiaoyong says he will transfer the money within a week. Foreman Li is extremely surprised. Zhang Xiaoyong says not to worry about the payment because if he doesn't pay, the land will be his. Foreman Li agrees. Xiaoning appears and calls Zhang Xiaoyong Brother Zhang. The girl asks what he is doing there. Zhang Xiaoyong, in his mind, remembers what had happened. Xiaoning and Qijing deceived him and stole his family fortune in the past life, but this time he will make them pay double. Zhang Xiaoyong, with Xiaoning clinging to him, asks again what she is doing there. Xiaoning asks Zhang Xiaoyong if that is the land he bought and comments that the landscape is very beautiful. She asks if he is planning to build a house there. Zhang Xiaoyong responds that what he builds is none of her business and pushes her away. Xiaoning wonders what is going on and comments that Zhang Xiaoyong is acting strangely. She remembers that normally just touching his hand would make him blush and his heart race. But that day, even though she deliberately approached him, he didn't show any reaction. Our prota, observing the work, says that the gate needs needs to be expanded. Xiao Ning watches Zhang Xiaoyong from afar and thinks that she can't miss this golden opportunity. She plans to get closer to him now that Kui Jing fought with him so that the land can be hers. Zhang Xiaoyong, now sitting on the sofa at home, looks at 2 property deeds. He thinks that pawning the house to the bank only netted him 3 million yuan, which is not enough to cover the first phase of construction costs. He needs to find a way to get more money until he gets an idea. He thinks the apocalypse is imminent anyway, so even if he sells the house to several people, it doesn't matter. Then out of nowhere, someone knocks on the door insistently, asking them to open it. Zhang Xiaoyong, sitting on the sofa, complains that he is the old man again. He says that his downstairs neighbor, Grandpa Li, has some money, as he owns the first and second floors and wants to buy the third floor from him too. He originally intended to use the house as his wedding home, so he refused to sell it. Since then, Grandpa Li has been causing trouble, painting his door, piling up trash, placing funeral wreaths, and jamming the lock. He used all kinds of dirty tricks. So after a lot of shouting, our prota finally opens the door. Grandpa Li scolds Zhang Xiaoyong, saying that he was out at a nightclub the night before. Zhang Xiaoyong gets angry with Grandpa Li and shouts that he's had enough, that he went to bed before 10 the night before and wasn't at a nightclub. Our big boy says he doesn't mind as he heard clearly. He gets irritated by Grandpa Li's insistence on buying his house and decides to sell it to him. Grandpa Li is surprised by Zhang Xiaoyong's decision, but Zhang Xiaoyong tells Grandpa Li that he has one condition to sell the house. He explains that he won't hand over the house until 6 months later, so he needs to live there for another 6 months. Before that, Grandpa Li needs to transfer 5 million yuan to him at once so he can pay the mortgage on his new house. The old man hesitates. Zhang Xiaoyong tells Grandpa Li that if he doesn't agree, then forget it. Grandpa Li accepts the proposal, but demands that they sign a contract to prevent Zhang Xiaoyong from backing out of the deal. Our prota assures Grandpa Li that the contract is not a problem. Looking at the old man, he thinks that the poor guy can wait to die in his house. Zhang Xiaoyong says that when Grandpa Li's 5 million yuan is transferred, plus the 3 million yuan from the loan, he will have 8 million yuan. So he decides to first complete the system task and claim the reward. Zhang Xiaoyong, in front of the ground, thinks about how to use the 8 million yuan he will have after Grandpa Li's transfer. The system shows Zhang Xiaoyong that the mission preparing for the apocalypse is still active and that the next objective is prepare a year's worth of supplies. So he goes to a supermarket. He pushes a cart full of food. A man watches and thinks that Zhang Xiaoyong is mentally unstable. A supermarket employee watches Zhang Xiaoyong scared and asks the others to stay away from him. The woman wonders why he is buying so many things. The guy comments that Zhang Xiaoyong is another idiot who believes rumors about doomsday and starts laughing. The system notifies Zhang Xiaoyong that the task, apocalypse preparation, has been completed and that he has received 10 system points. He says that during the apocalypse, improving your attributes is important, but that the protagonist supply box costs exactly 10 points. So he says he doesn't need to hesitate and should take advantage of the first opportunity by choosing the protagonist supply box. The system notifies that the exchange is successful, 10 points have been deducted, and now Zhang Xiaoyong has 0 points. A glowing box appears. The box opens, revealing a ring. The system describes the item. Level 1 space ring. Features. The ring contains 500 cubic meters of space and time into space. Zhang Xiaoyong holds the ring and says he knew that the first purchase is always the best. He observes the ring and says if time stops inside the ring's space, it means even if he stores fresh produce, it won't spoil. The system releases a new mission, 10 years of sustenance. The objective is to obtain supplies for 10 years, and the reward is 20 points. Then, out of nowhere, a man in a suit, accompanied by security guards, approaches our prota and asks who is responsible for the confusion. Then he asks if that is Zhang Xiaoyong. Our protagonist wonders if the man is Yang Tao. Zhang Xiaoyong remembers Yang Tao, his schoolmate, who was a lackey following the school bully, Zhang Shengzhe. He was a guy who always intimidated the weak and feared the strong. He remembers being charged by Yang Tao at school and refusing to pay. Our boy had many conflicts with Yang Tao at school and did not expect to meet him there that day. Yang Tao angrily asks Zhang Xiaoyong what he is doing and orders him to put things back back or he will be rude to him. But then Jiang Xiaoyong mocks Yang Tao, asking if he is still bullying the weak. He questions whether this is the way the Horenfa supermarket treats its customers, since they are there to buy items. Yang Tao orders Jiang Xiaoyong to pay for the items now, or else not blame him for being rude. An hour later, the supermarket cashier is printing a long invoice. Yang Tao asks the cashier how much the purchase totaled. The cashier responds that the total is 56,883 yuan. Yang Tao orders Jiang Xiaoyong to pay for the items now. Then Jiang Xiaoyong, with all his speed, uses his black card powers to pay the bill. The credit card machine indicates transaction successful. Yang Tao gets angry. Then the bully walks away and says, "Let's go." Jiang Xiaoyong interrupts Yang Tao and his henchman. The bully, confused, questions Jiang Xiaoyong about what he is doing. Jiang Xiaoyong says that Yang Tao was very rude and he must apologize, otherwise he will return all the goods. Yang Tao gets angry and accuses Jiang Xiaoyong of looking for trouble. All the customers who observed the scene film the bully with their cell phones and say that they were very rude to our prota. Now he is just asking for an apology, which is not too much to ask. The woman asks Yang Tao to apologize and says that if he doesn't do it, they won't get out of there. One of the customers says he is recording a video for TikTok, and if he doesn't apologize, it will make him famous. Jiang Xiaoyong tells Yang Tao to apologize, and if the request is sincere enough, he will buy 10 times more. So after much begging, the bully agrees to apologize. Jiang Xiaoyong, smiling, challenges Yang Tao to bring the card machine so he can show his balance. Yang Tao in disbelief sees the balance of 700,000 on the card machine. Our prota orders Yang Tao to apologize and says that if he is sincere enough, he will keep buying. He swears that if he's lying, he's a son of a bitch. Yang Tao bows and apologizes. Jiang Xiaoyong puts his hand on the sucker's head and tells Yang Tao to remember not to be so reckless in the future and to leave room for others. Yang Tao asks Jiang Xiaoyong why he is buying so many things. Jiang Xiaoyong responds that it's his business and that he's planning something big. Yang Tao says he will need to find a wholesaler as the products in the supermarket stock will not be enough. Yang Tao responds by saying that since Jiang Xiaoyong works at the supermarket, he must know some wholesalers. He reminds Jiang Xiaoyong of Jiang Shengzhe, who now works in the wholesale business. Yang Tao calls Jiang Shengzhe and tells him that he has found a big client for him. Then, outside the market, a sports car passes by at high speed. He stops in front of our prota. Jiang Xiaoyong watches and says that the crazy guy must never have been fooled before. A man in a trench coat gets out of the car, smoking. He asks Yang Tao if that is the big client he mentioned. Yang Tao tells Jiang Shengzhe that this is Jiang Xiaoyong and asks if he remembers. Jiang Shengzhe asks who Jiang Xiaoyong is. Yang Tao replies that he is his schoolmate. Then he finally remembers. Jiang Xiaoyong observa Jiang Shengzhe com desprezzo. Jiang Shengzhe smiles and says that Jiang Xiaoyong is a guy with a bit of backbone. Jiang Shengzhe looks at Jiang Xiaoyong's necklace and says it's just a fake brand. He shows contempt for people like Jiang Xiaoyong who pretend to be rich but are actually poor. Our prota says he doesn't know the brand of the necklace, as he bought it at a street stall. The guy gets annoyed and complains to Yang Tao, asking if that's the big client he mentioned, and says he's just wasting his time. Yang Tao tries to convince him, saying that he really is a great customer. Jiang Shengzhe kicks Yang Tao and curses him, saying that he is no big customer and that he has been in the business for years and knows who is rich and who is not just by looking. Jiang Xiaoyong says that his aura seems to be really weak and wonders how he can't even intimidate an illiterate person who looks down on people. Jiang Shengzhe grabs Jiang Xiaoyong by the collar of his shirt and asks him what he said. Our prota responds, "I said you despise people." Jiang Shengzhe is furious and asks Jiang Xiaoyong how dare he call him illiterate. So our prota is surprised and asks if it's okay to call him arrogant. After all, he didn't even care about that part. Yang Tao warns Jiang Xiaoyong, telling him not to provoke Jiang Shengzhe as he hates being called illiterate. Then the guy curses Yang Tao and tells him to shut up if he doesn't know how to speak properly. Jiang Shengzhe dares Jiang Xiaoyong to buy a whole load of goods from him that day, otherwise he will return home on all fours. Our prota tells the crazy person to stop pulling his shirt and showing his bank account number. Jiang Shengzhe receives a notification on his cell phone that 1 million has been transferred to his account. He questions whether Jiang Xiaoyong is serious. Our prota says that of course he's serious and asks if he thinks he's there to joke. He says that is the warehouse and that he wants to buy 5 million in products. He asks someone to load the truck and says he will pay the remaining 4 million when the products are ready. Jiang Shengzhe asks Jiang Xiaoyong what kind of products he wants. Then he replies that he wants rice, oil, salt, snacks, drinks, Anything edible or drinkable, he will take it all. The guy smiles and tells Jiang Xiaoyong to go with him. In his mind, he thinks that he didn't expect to be so lucky, as he just received a batch of food close to its expiration date, and there is an idiot there to take it all. Jiang Shengzhe takes Jiang Xiaoyong into a warehouse and tells him that if he takes that batch of products, he will give him a 10% discount on the original wholesale price. But as our little boy wasn't born yesterday, in fact, it's the second time he's been born, he says it will depend on the quality of the products. Jiang Xiaoyong looks at the products in the warehouse. He says that, except for the outermost layer, the entire interior is food close to its expiration date. Jiang Xiaoyong takes out a bag of food and says that Jiang Shengzhe is a big cheat. Jiang Shengzhe is embarrassed and says that he didn't expect Jiang Xiaoyong to understand so much about products. Wow! But the only thing he did was look at the expiration dates of the products. I'm starting to think that this crazy person is actually illiterate. Jiang Shengzhe offers a 50% discount if Jiang Xiaoyong takes all the food close to its expiration date. Our prota says his 5 million is to buy the best quality products. As for the expiring food, he has other plans. Jiang Shengzhe asks in surprise what Jiang Xiaoyong's plans are. Then he says that as Jiang Shengzhe proposed, he will take all the food close to its due date, but that payment will be made a month later. The crazy man asks Jiang Xiaoyong what will happen if the products are all expired when he goes to pay. Our prota reassures him that he can mortgage his house. Jiang Shengzhe asks Jiang Xiaoyong why he wants those products, as he knows they are close to expiration date. He also asks what Jiang Xiaoyong's scheme is. Then he says that not only are products close to expiration, but that even expired products will be worth a fortune in a few days. Jiang Shengzhe confusedly asks what Jiang Xiaoyong means. Jiang Xiaoyong answers a call. The person on the other end of the line asks if that is Mr. Jiang and if he is selling a used house. Jiang Xiaoyong says he has other things to do and asks them to sort the products first. Yang Tao asks Jiang Shengji if he tricked him, so he responds wondering Jiang Xiaoyong's family is just middle class. How the hell did he get so much money? The old man who had called our prota hands him a wad of cash and says, "Mr. Jiang, here's the 400,000 deposit." He accepts Jiang Xiaoyong's condition to vacate the house in 3 months and asks them to sign the contract soon. Jiang Xiaoyong says that the old man hasn't even checked the house carefully and already wants to pay the deposit and sign the contract. He wonders how desperate he is to buy his house. Our big boy asks the old man why he is in such a hurry. The old man sighs and explains that his granddaughter needs to transfer schools and that they urgently need that house to live in. He says that he has been looking for houses in that area for days and that only Jiang Xiaoyong's is for sale. So he begs Jiang Xiaoyong not to back out of the deal. Jiang Xiaoyong tells the old man that he is very honest, telling him everything immediately, and asks if he is not afraid that he will raise the price. The poor guy panics and begs Jiang Xiaoyong not to do this, because the money in the house is all the family savings of 2 generations. Our prota reassures the old man, saying that he will not go back on the agreement. Then he signs the sales contract for the house. The old man is happy with the signing of the contract. Then he says goodbye to Jiang Xiaoyong and says that he will let him go back to his work and won't bother him anymore. Jiang Xiaoyong says goodbye to the man. Then our prota starts to think, seeing how kind and honest the old man is, he and his granddaughter probably wouldn't survive a month in the coming apocalypse. Jiang Xiaoyong calls the man, who was already leaving the apartment. He asks for the old man's current address. On the factory grounds, Foreman Li asks Jiang Xiaoyong about the second payment. Jiang Xiaoyong says he will transfer the money soon and asks how the construction progress is. Foreman Li says construction is 70% to 80% complete. He shows Jiang Xiaoyong the wall and the door, saying that everything is absolutely safe. Jiang Xiaoyong asks about the deposit. Foreman Li responds that the warehouse is an abandoned factory building, clean and ready for use at any time. Jiang Xiaoyong, holding the cell phone, says it is very good. Jiang Xiaoyong, still on the phone, orders Jiang Shengzhe to start delivering the goods. Employees load boxes into a warehouse. One of them comments that the boss is being very generous by paying each of them 2,000 for their work. They watch Jiang Xiaoyong buying a lot of supplies and comment that he is turning the place into a bunker. They don't understand Jiang Xiaoyong's attitude because rich people cherish their lives. Our prota instructs employees to store fresh produce, fruits, vegetables, and other perishable items separately. The employees confirm that they understand and that there is no problem. Jiang Xiaoyong looks at the warehouse full of supplies and declares, "Ready?" The system notifies Jiang Xiaoyong that the task 10 years of supplies has been completed and that he has received 20 points, making his total 20 points. Jiang Xiaoyong, observing the system store, notices that new boxes have been added. The system store shows the following available items: Physical Enhancement Potion, +1 for 20 points. Apocalypse Farmer Supply Box, level 1 for 2 points. Skill Awakening Supply Box, level 1 for 10 points, and the option to upgrade the store for 2 points. Our prota says luck is on your side for getting skills before the apocalypse. The system notifies that the exchange is successful. 10 points have been deducted, and now Jiang Xiaoyong has 10 points. The Mind's Eye level 1 skill appears on the system screen. Its characteristic is, it can detect if someone harbors hostility. So he says this is one of the most useful skills in the early days of the apocalypse. The system releases a new task, Ready for Battle. The requirement is to arm yourself, and the reward is 10 points and a random reward. Jiang Xiaoyong smiles and says that the new task is exactly what he had in mind. Sometime later, our prota walks down a busy street at night. He arrives at a busy night market, where you could hear several people negotiating and asking if the object in their hand is real or fake. A man next to him says that only an amateur would ask that question. For that price, he is questioning whether it is real or fake. Another man says to be quiet as the object was taken from Ma Wangdui the day before. One person asks if that is the first emperor's childhood war helmet. Jiang Xiaoyong looks back, and there is an old acquaintance of ours, shouting that a high-quality jade bracelet for 2,000 is clearly fake, and asking the seller to sell it to him for 300, as he will still make a good profit. He asks whether or not the seller accepts the offer and says that if not, he will leave. The seller gives in and says everything is fine and not to scream, as the object is his. Then, amidst the shouting, Jiang Xiaoyong looks around and spots a set of knives for sale. Our prota holds one of the knives and asks if the seller doesn't have something sharper. The salesman shows a knife sharpener and suggests that Jiang Xiaoyong buy something and sharpen it himself. If he doesn't like the idea, he could buy a stick. Jiang Xiaoyong says that none of those objects are strong enough and he needs something stronger. The salesman asks Jiang Xiaoyong if he is there to cause trouble, but out of nowhere he receives a notification on his cell phone. Ding dong, 200,000 yuan credited to account. He gets confused. Jiang Xiaoyong tells him not to be agitated as he is serious about buying the products. It shows the cell phone screen showing the payment. The vendor calls his assistant, Xiao Xiang, to take care of the stall. The salesman tells Jiang Xiaoyong that it is not convenient to talk there and invites him to go somewhere else. The seller offers Jiang Xiaoyong homemade guns, saying they are good for shooting chickens and that the ammunition is cheap, made only from gunpowder and steel balls. But Jiang Xiaoyong refuses the offer. Then the salesman shows Jiang Xiaoyong a replica revolver, almost as good as service weapons, which fires 9mm bullets and costs 5,000 yuan. He says the bullets cost 5 yuan each. Jiang Xiaoyong says that the offer is minimally acceptable, but that he has already paid 200,000 yuan in advance, and that selling that junk to him is not appropriate. The salesman asks Jiang Xiaoyong what's the problem with paying in advance. Then he reveals that he wants to buy 2 million in weapons. The salesman, surprised, asks who Jiang Xiaoyong is and why he is placing such a large order for him. The salesperson explains that he did not usually deal with these trivial matters, as they were handled by his subordinates, but that recently there have been some changes. Our prota interrupts him and just asks him to say whether or not he can fulfill the request. Then he asks Jiang Xiaoyong for a moment and leaves the place. The salesman presses a button on the wall. Then he closes the window, and suddenly his expression changes. He looks at our prota and says, "You found the right person." The salesman tells Jiang Xiaoyong that he can take care of it, asking him to make a list and he will give an address. He asks Jiang Xiaoyong to come to the address at midnight 2 days later to complete the transaction. The seller warns him to bring cash. He asks Jiang Xiaoyong to be careful, but upon leaving the store, our prota is surprised. The guy who killed him in his previous life recognizes Jiang Xiaoyong. He, surprised, says that he didn't expect to see him on a black market, but that was to be expected since he was spending so much money. So he assumes that our prota's family has some inheritances. Jiang Xiaoyong decides to test his new skill. Then he activates the Mind's Eye skill and observes the seller. A blue aura forms around the salesman's head. Jiang Xiaoyong says that the skill is very useful, as expected. So he uses his Mind's Eye ability again, but this time watching the guy who killed him in his past life life, and well, a purple aura forms around the sucker's head, Jiang Xiaoyong says that it is really about pretending. He realizes that he tricked Jing into going to bed with her using fakes and second-hand products. He concludes that it makes sense, as it is just one of his second-hand products, and is only worth that much. The crazy man gets angry and curses Jiang Xiaoyong, asking what he means. The salesman asks our prota if he knows him. Then our prota says he knows him as an enemy. So the salesman surrounds himself with his henchmen and asks our prota to go do his thing, and he will teach the idiot who was talking to him a lesson. So Jiang Xiaoyong asks him not to kill him, as he has other plans for his life. Seeing the situation he has found himself in, the fat man asks the salesman what he is doing and threatens him. Then the salesman with a piece of iron in his hand observes the man and says, "Big brother, let's talk." Then he gets stepped on in the face and falls to the ground. He curses Jiang Xiaoyong and says he will regret it. 2 days later, a truck arrives in front of a building. Jiang Xiaoyong enters the warehouse and watches the truck unloading the goods. The system notifies Jiang Xiaoyong that the battle-ready task has been completed. He receives 10 points, for a total of 20 points. The system displays the mission's bonus reward, a physical enhancement potion, +2. Jiang Xiaoyong smiles in surprise and comments that he received an extra physical enhancement potion as a bonus. Then he holds the syringe with the potion and says that it is a +2 potion, equivalent to twice the one in the system store. Jiang Xiaoyong injects the potion into his arm. He feels severe pain and screams. Jiang Xiaoyong says that an adult man's average physical score is 5, and that adding 2 points would increase his strength by 40%. It observes the system store, and the available items are Physical Enhancement Potion, +1, for 20 points, and the Survival Kit for 2 points. Jiang Xiaoyong says that since it is like this, he must maximize this advantage. Then he holds another syringe. He says that, with 8 points in physique, he has 60% more strength than a normal person and decides it's time to find a target to test. Your body is enveloped in an aura of energy. Jiang Xiaoyong looks to the side and finds some beams lying on the wall. He picks one up and holds it tightly. And well, the guy just bent the beam and now he's going to play ball with it. Jiang Xiaoyong throws the metal bar, which bends and embeds itself in the wall. He laughs and says that with his current strength, even unarmed, he is not an easy target. Even against zombies at the beginning of the apocalypse, he will not be afraid. Jiang Xiaoyong comes close to the shipment and says that the weapons shouldn't take up much space and that it's best to store them in the space ring for safety. So he uses the space ring to store the weapons. He says that the next day will be the first day of the apocalypse and wonders what else needs to be done. Then he thinks about the old man, who sighs and confesses to Jiang Xiaoyong that his granddaughter needs to transfer schools and that they urgently need that house to live in, that he had been looking for houses in that area for days, and that only his is for sale. Then he puts his hand on his head and thinks that even after experiencing life and death and betrayal, the old man is still so honest and kind. He wonders how much longer this unfortunate person can survive, so he decides that he will send some supplies to the old man and says that he can consider the supplies as payment for providing him with the funds for his apocalypse plan. Jiang Xiaoyong arrives at a place in his car and thanks God for creating GPS, because without him he would never have found that place. Then he climbs the stairs of a building. He says the old man doesn't seem to be in a good financial situation, renting such a cheap place and on the top floor at that. When he knocks on the old man's door, he stops for a moment and thinks that he better take out the supplies he brought now. Otherwise, it will be difficult to explain later. Then he uses his special ring, releasing all the supplies he had set aside. The old man says he's already leaving. Then the old man opens the door and, already apologizing, says that he needs to talk to Jiang Xiaoyong about the rent and promises to pay it the following week. The old man is scared to see what our prota has prepared for him. Jiang Xiaoyong asks the old man to help him take things inside quickly before the neighbors see. He says he will explain everything later. The old man comments that young people have a lot of energy, carrying so many things at once without even catching their breath. Jiang Xiaoyong looks at the front door of the apartment and says that the room is decent and the front door is solid enough. He asks the old man to listen carefully to what he is going to say. Jiang Xiaoyong tells him that those supplies, if used wisely, should last about 6 months. He warns that starting tomorrow, the old man stops him and asks what's wrong with him since he can just store those supplies at his house since they're moving there in a month anyway. Jiang Xiaoyong looks at a photo of the old man with his daughter, but he recognizes that girl. Shan Shan. Our prota asks the old man if his granddaughter's name is Meng Shan Shan. He is surprised and asks Jiang Xiaoyong how he knows since he doesn't remember mentioning her name. He asks where his granddaughter is now. He replies that she is attending school. He explains that once the house transfer is complete, they will be able to transfer her school as well. The paperwork is almost done. Zhang Xiaoyong, in a flashback, remembers when Shanshan said that her grandfather risked everything to save her, bravely breaking into the high school, which was already overrun by zombies. He managed to save her, but lost his life in the process. So our prota touching that photo says he will make up for her regret. He tells the old man that he will not move into the house anymore. The old man, surprised, asks if he is going to back out of the deal. Zhang Xiaoyong asks the old man to let him finish speaking, because from tomorrow onwards, the world will turn into hell. He says neither his house nor his granddaughter's school enrollment will matter anymore. He asks the old man to go with him to Shanshan's school to pick her up, as he will provide a new place for them both. The old man, confused, asks what Zhang Xiaoyong is talking about and says he doesn't understand a word. Our prota says he's very old and won't understand much. He wonders how to explain everything to him. So he asks the old man if he knows how bad times of famine are. Then the old man retorts, saying that he understands how bad times of hunger can be. But how would there be hunger in times of peace? Then Zhang Xiaoyong reaches out and uses his magic ring to suck up all the supplies that were there. The old man is startled. He looks around and sees that all the boxes of supplies that Zhang Xiaoyong had left in his apartment have disappeared. He asks Zhang Xiaoyong what kind of magic it is. Then our prota reveals to the old man that he has superpowers, and that if he wants to survive with his granddaughter, he should do everything he says from now on. Then he asks which school Shanshan went to. Now the old man, still without understanding anything, follows our prota in his car. Zhang Xiaoyong finally arrives at the scene and stops the car with a bang. He asks the old man which class and dorm Shanshan is in. The old man, still scared, replies that he knows. Zhang Xiaoyong says great, and they should hurry. And well, apparently a fight is going on there. A girl slaps Shanshan in the face, cursing her and asking what Zhang Xiaocheng sees in her. The girl spits and says that she already said that she doesn't want to be with Zhang Xiaocheng and that he is the one who insists. Then another girl asks if she apologized and kicks her. The slut grabs Shanshan by the hair and curses her, asking what Zhang Xiaocheng sees in her. She says she doesn't understand and questions what she has that Zhang Xiaocheng likes. Shanshan, grit of gold. But don't worry, our hero doesn't wear a cape. He carries an old one with him. Our heroes arrive asking what those girls are doing. The slut asks if that isn't Shanshan's useless grandfather. Shanshan, lying on the floor, asks what he is doing there. The old man asks the girl what she is doing and tells her to release Shanshan. One of the boys accompanying the girl asks Grandpa to move away, saying that this is between young people and asking what an old man like him is doing there, intruding. Then the old man shouts and advances towards the boys. He curses them and asks if their parents didn't teach them good manners. Then one of the boys tells the old man to leave the other boy while he takes a swing at him with a baseball bat. But before it hits the old man, our hero grabs the base of the bat with his hand. Zhang Xiaoyong watches them and asks if the young people aren't learning to be bandits too early. One of the boys asks where that old man came from. The blonde boy tells Shanshan that he didn't know she had an older brother. Then, Zhang Xiaoyong kicks the boy away. One of the boys asks if Zhang Xiaoyong is a trained guy, so they decide to attack together. Zhang Xiaoyong, observer. Then the two boys surround our prota. One of them prepares to attack Zhang Xiaoyong with a bat, but he dodges the attack and says that after improving his physical abilities, even his reflexes have become faster. Zhang Xiaoyong grabs the boy by his shirt and blows him to the ground. The boy screams in pain and soon becomes unconscious. Then our prota looks back as another blow is thrown at him. Zhang Xiaoyong dodges the boy's attack with the knife and holds his arm tightly. Our prota prepares a kick, and it's a goal for Real Madrid. He hits the boy, who falls to the ground. And well, 1-0 for the men's team. The fight ends there. Zhang Xiaoyong approaches the girl who is hitting on Shanshan, so she asks him what he intends to do.
Yeah, boy.
And well, our protagonist treats all genders equally, so he punches the bitch in the face. She's surprised by his reaction. Then he grabs her hair and yells, "You like to pull hair, don't you?" She screams for him to let her go. Then he grabs a knife and points it at her. The girl asks him what he intends to do, and in the blink of an eye, a cut is delivered. Our protagonist watches the bitch with a serious look, while Shanshan covers her face with her hands so so she doesn't have to see the scene. The girl falls to her knees. She screams when she sees that her hair has been cut. The girl curses our protagonist, asking how he dared to cut her hair. "Look, my dear, you're lucky it was just the hair. It could very well have been your neck." Jiang Xiaoyong says the short hair will do her good. The girl wonders what he means by that. Then our protagonist says that she will understand in a few days, and that short hair can save her life. Jiang Xiaoyong calls Shanshan to leave. Shanshan asks Jiang Xiaoyong where they are going. Shanshan, sitting in the passenger seat, wonders if she will no longer go to school. Jiang Xiaoyong, driving the car, says that soon there will be a great famine and that there is no point in going to school. He states that survival is the priority. Shanshan is shocked by Jiang Xiaoyong's speech. She asks what he means by a great famine. Then, finding it a joke from our protagonist, she scolds the old man, asking how many times she needs to tell him not to believe in these phone scams. The old man, simply by being old, doesn't understand what that means and asks Shanshan what this phone scam thing means. But he says he's telling the truth, so she yells at the old man, saying that he always says he's telling the truth when he falls for scams. And our protagonist, watching the two arguing, smiles, stating that this time he will save their lives. Jiang Xiaoyong says that her grandfather is not being deceived this time, as the information about the famine came from her. Shanshan, confused, asks who he is. Then he introduces himself as Jiang Xiaoyong and says she can call him Brother Xiaoyong from now on. Shanshan thanks him for defending her against Sun Wei and the other bullies. But Jiang Xiaoyong tells Shanshan not to worry about those people, as they probably don't have many days left to live. Shanshan asks what Jiang Xiaoyong means by great famine. Jiang Xiaoyong tells Shanshan that he made up the famine story to make it easier for her grandfather to understand. Shanshan replies that she imagined, as there was no way a famine could happen in peacetime. Then he states that the apocalypse must be about to begin. She is surprised and asks him, "Apocalypse?" Jiang Xiaoyong asks Shanshan and Grandpa to turn on their cell phones and check out the short videos and news. He says that if he's right, they'll see some signs. Shanshan is watching a video on her cell phone that shows a man biting a police officer's neck on the subway. She exclaims, shocked, that she has never seen anyone angry biting other people in real life before. Shanshan sniffs the air and asks if it's just her or if the smoke seems to smell weird. A person is bitten on the neck by a man. She asks what he's doing and curses. The frightened person says she doesn't know why, but she couldn't resist. She asks to be taken to the hospital. Jiang Xiaoyong watches and says that, as expected, the signs of the apocalypse are already appearing. Shanshan asks if there really will be an apocalypse. Our protagonist says that tomorrow will be the first day of the apocalypse. A toxic fog will cover several provinces, including B province. Jiang Xiaoyong continues, saying that the unknown smoke will affect living beings. Gradually, a significant portion of the population will turn into zombies. Another part of the population will not be spared either. Zombies attack people in a dark alley. As soon as people die, they become one of them. Our protagonist tells her that since she is a young person, she should know what zombies are. She says she knows, but that would be impossible. Then Jiang Xiaoyong comes across a line of cars on the road. Our protagonist is worried. Grandpa, worried, asks Jiang Xiaoyong what will happen if they get stuck there, and the zombies he mentioned reach them. Jiang Xiaoyong reassures Grandpa, telling him not to worry as it's not that urgent yet. He thinks that while the zombies won't be completely out of control for a few days, what would happen if there was a small outbreak right there? A car speeds up, speeding down the emergency lane. Then the car slams into our protagonist's car. He gets angry and mutters that of course even the emergency lane is blocked. Jiang Xiaoyong speeds up the car and drives down the emergency lane, passing the other cars. A driver stops beside our protagonist and curses him. Grandpa watches in fear and tells Jiang Xiaoyong that the other driver appeared to be rich and powerful and that perhaps they should avoid trouble. Jiang Xiaoyong reassures Grandpa, saying that if the driver dares to get out of the car to cause trouble, he wouldn't mind sending him away sooner. Then our protagonist breathes a sigh of relief and comments that the jam is finally over. Shanshan alerts Jiang Xiaoyong, saying it's that car from earlier trying to pass them. Jiang Xiaoyong thinks, irritated, that they really won't give up. The car behind Jiang Xiaoyong brakes sharply. Grandpa yells at Jiang Xiaoyong, saying the driver is glued to the back of the car and braking suddenly, a classic case of road rage. He asks Jiang Xiaoyong not to stoop to the level of the other driver. Jiang Xiaoyong thinks that in the past, he might have let it go, but with the apocalypse coming the next day, there's no need to tolerate that kind of scum. Then Jiang Xiaoyong speeds up the car and hits the side of the other car, causing it to spin. The driver of the other car gets out and curses Zhang Xiaoyong. He calls the traffic police and asks for the security camera footage as he needs the license plate number. Then night falls, and after this great adventure, our heroes finally arrive at our protagonist's house. Shanshan and grandfather get out of the car. Grandpa is impressed with the place. Zhang Xiaoyong watches from outside the garage. Then he decides to ask for help and tells Shanshan and grandpa that, starting the next day, every day will be difficult, and asks them to get some rest. The next morning, Zhang Xiaoyong watches the cityscape from the window of his fortress, sipping a cup of coffee. Shanshan stretches in a corridor, glad she slept well and didn't have to go to school. Zhang Xiaoyong smiles at Shanshan and invites her to take a look around the fortress. Zhang Xiaoyong, Shanshan, and grandfather are walking down a corridor. Our protagonist points to the walls and says they are made of reinforced concrete. They reach a large steel gate. Zhang Xiaoyong explains that the gate is remotely controlled, made of solid steel, 3 centimeters thick, and that neither people nor zombies will be able to break through it without heavy weaponry. Zhang Xiaoyong looks seriously at Shanshan and Grandpa and warns that, without his permission, no one but the 3 of them is allowed inside the fortress. Shanshan asks, startled, "What will happen if there are other survivors who manage to escape to the fortress? Will they let them die?" Zhang Xiaoyong stares at Shanshan and orders her to come with him. Zhang Xiaoyong, Shanshan, and Grandpa observe the fortress from the top of the building. He says that in the apocalypse, human nature is unpredictable. He continues, saying that the evil in people's hearts will be amplified and that having a soft heart will only lead them to death. Zhang Xiaoyong explains that if he's not around and other survivors come for help, that safe zone can provide temporary shelter. Shanshan and Grandpa observe a courtyard surrounded by containers and barbed wire. Zhang Xiaoyong warns Shanshan and Grandpa, ordering them not to let anyone into the fortress until he returns, under any circumstances. Hence they reply that they understood. Our hero walks away saying he'll show them the food storage next, and he'll tell them what areas can be rationed. Zhang Xiaoyong, Shanshan, and Grandpa enter a large warehouse full of shelves and boxes. Then he stops and whispers, "Finally!" Zhang Xiaoyong activates his mind's eye ability and looks at Shanshan and Grandpa. A green smiley emoji appears above their heads. He asks if that's a sign of trust and comments that it's the first time this has happened. Zhang Xiaoyong deactivates his skill and points to the warehouse with his magic ring. He states that weapons are the most important thing in the apocalypse. Shanshan and Grandpa observe an arsenal of pistols, shotguns, crossbows, and ammunition. Zhang Xiaoyong emphasizes the importance of keeping weapons under control and ensuring that they never fall into the wrong hands. Grandpa agrees with Zhang Xiaoyong, stating that it is crucial to keep weapons safe. Then, a system notification appears in front of Zhang Xiaoyong. The Old Comrades series quest has been activated with the mission to find and rescue his former comrade Zhang Qi for a reward of 20 points. Our protagonist observes the system notification and murmurs. Zhang Xiaoyong says that the mission to find his old comrades is great, as he had been wondering for a long time how he would do it. As he prepares to leave the fortress, Zhang Xiaoyong repeats the instructions to Shanshan and Grandpa, ordering them to remember everything he said and not violate any of his orders. Shanshan asks him where he is going. Then he gets into his sports car and quickly leaves the fortress. As he drives, he says he needs to recruit people for his team. Now let's go to the other side of town, in a building of the KTV. Inside the KTV, a white-haired man sings karaoke. The boys come out of the karaoke room. The white-haired man asks where they are going. The bespectacled one, his arm over his friend's shoulder, replies that he is going to the bathroom. The friend says he'll save him some drink. Then they want to go into the bathroom, ask if whoever was in there was waiting for someone or if they have kidney problems. The white-haired man coming out of the bathroom with his friend bumps into a blonde woman who is accompanied by a man in a black suit. The woman complains, indignant. Then he apologizes for the bump. The man in the suit curses the white-haired man, calling him a punk and asking if he's not looking where he's going. Then he kicks the white-haired man, who falls to the ground. The boy groans in pain, clutching his stomach, while his friend asks if Zhang Qi is okay. The bespectacled friend stands in front of Zhang Qi and questions the man in the suit, asking what he is doing and why he is attacking him. The guy, furious, complains that this is the first time anyone has dared to talk back to him. Then he grabs the bespectacled friend by the collar and lifts him off the ground. Zhang Qi stands up and tries to break up the fight, asking the man in the suit not to attack his friend, taking the blame for the bump. The guy who was in the bathroom finally comes out and sees what was happening, complaining about his bad luck, having just recovered from a stomachache and already having the flu. Then he approaches the group and asks them them to give him a break. Then, the man in the suit grabs the guy by the shirt, curses him for disrespecting him, and asks if he knows who he's talking to. He claims that not even his boss would dare touch his clothes. Then the poor guy asks Jiang Qi and his friend to get out of there soon, saying they can't afford to get into trouble. The blonde woman orders to call the KTV manager, threatening to close it. Jiang Qi and his friend walk away, while the friendly neighborhood man calls for calm. Jiang Qi and friend hurriedly leave the KTV. A man sitting on a sofa watches Jiang Qi and his friend run away, asking if a dog was chasing them and why they are in such a hurry. The bespectacled friend recounts that they ran into a drunken bully on the way out of the bathroom who wanted to hit them. He says luckily the bellboy was quick and diffused the situation, otherwise they would have gotten beat up. The man, irritated, asks why they didn't fight back, wondering if their mechanical engineering class ever backed down. Then he gets up furiously and asks them to wait and says he will gather all the guys from their department to take down the bully. Jiang Qi talks to his friend, asking him to calm down, as there is less than a year left until graduation, and they shouldn't be looking for trouble. He asks the friend to keep the music playing and keep dancing. A group of men, led by the man in the suit, walk while holding the shirt of our poor waiter. Jiang Qi, the bespectacled friend, and the other guy watch as the group approaches. Then he points to Jiang Qi and his friends, confirming that they are the ones responsible for the confusion. One of the men in the group, holding a baseball bat, orders them to grab Jiang Qi and his friends. The men surround them, forcing them to their knees. The engineering colleague, furious, asks the guy if he could let him make a phone call. The man in the suit gets annoyed with Jiang Qi for answering and hits him with a bottle of kachaka. Jiang Qi cries out for Chun Chong. Then, finally, Jiang Xiaoyong arrives in front of KTV with his car. Watching from outside the KTV, Jiang Xiaoyong smiles and comments on the naivety of college students. Jiang Xiaoyong enters the KTV while the staff ask him to enter. He climbs the stairs towards the karaoke room while commenting on the courage of the people who still feel like singing in the face of the end of the world. Chen Chong is lying on the floor, unconscious, while Jiang Qi watches him with concern. The man in the suit approaches the blonde woman and asks if she is feeling better. The blonde woman replies that she has nothing to feel better about, as it wasn't Chen Chong who bumped into her. Then he points to the poor white-haired man and accuses him of bumping into her. Then out of nowhere, the guy's friend agrees and picks up a piece of glass that was near him. He prepares to throw at the guy in the suit, however. His henchmen grab him by the arm. The man in the suit is surprised by the boy's audacity. Then he throws another glass at the poor guy, who instantly passes out again. All the men present in the room are startled by the madman's action. Jiang Qi and the bespectacled guy, outraged, advance towards the guy in the suit. One of the boys who was in that room trembles in fear, while in the background you can hear all the discussion. The man orders the other men to attack him, asking them to grab one and beat him to death. Then the waiter wakes up spitting blood. Jiang Qi attacks the suit guy's henchmen, who dodge and counterattack. However, all that bullshit in the bathroom wasn't in vain. Our poor waiter was slowly transforming into a zombie. Then, out of nowhere, the crowd starts running. One of the men cries out in pain as he is bitten by the waiter. He asks if the waiter is some kind of dog to keep biting like that. The guy who was shitting himself screams for help. He pulls the waiter by the neck and is amazed at his strength. Then the zombie turns and bites the arm of the poor boy who was trying to help. He says the guy was insane. His strength was absurd. But then our hero arrives, grabbing the zombie by the neck. Jiang Xiaoyong lifts the zombie with just one hand. Then he plunges it into the glass in front of him. Jiang Xiaoyong orders everyone to stop. The guy who got bitten comments on Jiang Xiaoyong's strength, mentioning that like the strength of a bull, he managed to immobilize him with just one hand. One of the men, not understanding what just happened, asks who Jiang Xiaoyong is. However, our protagonist ignores them and turns to Jiang Qi and asks if he has been bitten. Jiang Qi denies being bitten and asks Jiang Xiaoyong why he asked. He looks coldly at the others and orders Jiang Qi to follow him. The man in the suit puts his hand on Jiang Qi's shoulder and yells, saying they're not done yet. One of the henchmen coughs and complains to his boss that he is dizzy. The boss asks what's going on and if his flu is getting worse. Jiang Xiaoyong looks at him coldly. The man puts his hand to his neck and states that in the afternoon he just had a runny nose. Jiang Xiaoyong asks if he was bitten there. The man, moaning, confirms that he was bitten on the shoulder. Jiang Xiaoyong concludes, based on the bitten man's words that he was probably already infected and that, having been bitten close to the head, he will likely mutate soon. Then he walks out of the KTV, pulling the zombie by the neck. The suit scoundrel asks what he is doing. Jiang Xiaoyong throws the zombie out and locks the door behind him. Our protagonist comments that it's a good thing zombies haven't learned to open doors yet. The men inside the KTV watch Jiang Xiaoyong in silence, shocked. Then Jiang Xiaoyong, furious, asks Zhang Qi which of the men need to be eliminated. Zhang Qi asks nervously if they know each other. The man in the suit walks towards our protagonist and accuses him of getting too cocky. Then Jiang Xiaoyong squeezes his face with his hand, and it explodes on the ground, causing a crack. One of the men yells at Jiang Xiaoyong, cursing him and saying that he is asking for it. But he doesn't know who he's messing with. Jiang Xiaoyong punches the man in the face, knocking him out instantly. The other henchman approaches him and asks what that slow reaction was. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaoyong challenges the other men to face him if they are not convinced of his strength. Our protagonist asks Zhang Qi to take his friend and wait for him outside the room. Zhang Qi agrees. The white-haired man and the bespectacled friend help the man to his feet and lead him out of the KTV. The man in the suit gets up, staggering, and says they're leaving too. Jiang Xiaoyong stops the man in the suit from leaving, who asks him what he thinks he is doing. Our hero accuses the man of not even remembering his own name after drinking and blames him for nearly killing his brother there. The guy questions what nonsense he's talking about and orders him to get out of his way. Jiang Xiaoyong pushes the man in the suit. He falls to the ground, cursing Jiang Xiaoyong and threatening him with death. One of the henchmen curses Jiang Xiaoyong and threatens to tear him apart alive. However, something happens. He begins to transform into a zombie, baring his teeth and stiffening his entire body. He roars ferociously, his bright red eyes glowing. With his sharp teeth protruding from his mouth, he advances to attack our protagonist. Frightened, the other men wonder what is going on. But before he got close, Jiang Xiaoyong closes the door behind him and keeps the zombie in there along with the suit guy's cronies. Well, technically he didn't kill anyone, right? Conscience is clear. Jiang Xiaoyong orders the waiter to lock the door completely and that no one open it. He then instructs the waiter to call the police and the hospital, informing them that there is an angry patient in that room. The waiter repeats the word anger, his face terrified. Jiang Xiaoyong faces him and orders him to follow his instructions. The waiter agrees nervously and runs to lock the door to the room. Inside the room, the man, now transformed, growls and tries to open the door. Jiang Xiaoyong calls everyone to get out of the KTV. One of the guards comments that the noise seems too loud. The other asks what is happening and why everything is so chaotic. He replies that a customer said there is an angry patient inside the bathroom. The man is frightened, questioning if there really is anger for humans. One of the security guards suggests checking the security camera. Then, frightened, they watch the security camera feed. The security camera shows everyone who was in the room, now transformed, biting the blonde woman's neck. One of the men panics and yells for the police to be called immediately. Jiang Xiaoyong, at the exit of KTV, warns that the place is no longer safe. Then they run out of the KTV and get into their car. Inside the car, Zhang Qi thanks Jiang Xiaoyong for saving them and asks who he is. Then he introduces himself as Jiang Xiaoyong and reveals that he was hired to protect them, dispensing with the need for them to know who the contractor is. The other guy asks Jiang Xiaoyong if the anger he mentioned is real, as the internet has debunked its existence. Then our protagonist questions him, asking if he thinks what happened in the room was just an illusion. The bespectacled friend, frightened by the possibility of the anger being real, asks if there is any medicine for this disease. Jiang Xiaoyong warns the passengers in the car that the disaster is not going away, only getting worse, as the world is already in its last days. Everyone is startled to see, in the rearview mirror, what is happening behind the car. A person on the street screams for help as a zombie tries to grab him. Jiang Xiaoyong warns them that soon the outbreak will spiral out of control on a large scale, and that in order to survive, they need to follow his orders. Then they all agree to follow Jiang Xiaoyong's orders, calling him Brother Yong. A system notification appears in front of Jiang Xiaoyong, informing him that the Ex-Partner Mission Volume 1 has been completed. He received 20 system points and now has a total of 20 points. Jiang Xiaoyong is happy to see that the mission is complete and decides to check out the new rewards in the system store. Then, the system store appears on the screen, 3 supply boxes available. Post-Apocalyptic Cultivator for 2 points, Sugar, Oil, and Protein for 2 points, and Armed Deterrent for 2 points, and the Upgrade option available for 2 points. Jiang Xiaoyong observes the post-apocalyptic apocalyptic cultivator box in the store and comments that it's still there, so he'll have to buy it or spend points to upgrade it manually. So he decides that he will buy all the available supply boxes, as they seem useful, and that he will be back at the fortress soon. Zhang Xiaoyong observes his new companions inside the car and thinks that there is still a problem with trust between them. The white-haired man yells, saying they were treating the guy who helped them at KTV like a brother, and now he's infected and tried to attack them. Zhang Xiaoyong remembers that in the previous life, all of Zhang Qi's dorm was killed by zombies because one of his brothers betrayed them. Only Zhang Qi managed to survive. In an apartment, the bitch who betrayed our protagonist talks on her cell phone asking how things are going. The woman complains, asking when the supplies he mentioned will be delivered, and says she is afraid to go to the supermarket because the situation outside is chaotic. Then, this person replies that they will send the supplies soon as they finish what they are doing. Someone knocks on the apartment door. The woman freaks out and warns the guy that someone is at the door and she's going to hang up. She looks through the peephole, but it was just her sister. Upon opening the door, she reveals that Mr. Liu, who lives on the first floor, was taken away in the morning. The slut asks her how Mr. Liu was taken. She replies that the police and an ambulance took him together. Then she comments that this is why everything was so chaotic that morning. The girl asks her if Li Shuxiong has already delivered the supplies he promised. She replies that he hasn't. Irritated, the woman vents that she had already warned her friend that no man is good. Then she advises her to call the driver and tell him that Zhang Xiaoyong has a large stockpile of supplies and that he can make a fortune during the pandemic. But will he help this time? I do not think so. The woman is incredulous and asks her friend how she knows this. She replies that the last time she was kicked out of Zhang Xiaoyong's house, she ordered one of her lackeys to watch him and discovered that every few days a truck delivers supplies to his abandoned factory. So the slut concludes that Zhang Xiaoyong probably knew about the pandemic beforehand. The girl insists that the woman call the driver right now and close the deal as soon as possible. Then she says that when the driver starts making money, she will make him give them a larger share of the profits. Oh my God, this woman is no good either.